Coming up, 1 year after that fateful day when Britain left the EU, not even the worst horrors of the pandemic have been able to mask the consequences of Brexit. Apart from doing short, medium and long-term harm to the economy, it has taken away freedom of movement, given us non-tariff barriers to trade with the major global trading bloc on our geographical doorstep, and made the British voter a laughingstock internationally. It's doing Britain and its people real and lasting harm. Meanwhile, the leader of the opposition is going with a "make Brexit work" pitch. Is this good politics, or is Keir Starmer betraying the majority of Labour supporters who voted Remain? Let's take a closer look. If you don't enjoy the Truth to Power channel, please feel free not to like this video, don't subscribe, and forget about hitting the bell for notifications of future releases. The consequences of Brexit go way beyond the economic and cultural harms inflicted on the British people. It will undoubtedly lead to the breakup of the United Kingdom itself. The only question is, what comes first, an independent Scotland or a united Ireland? And will Wales follow suit? I started the Truth to Power channel as I felt powerless, watching from the sidelines, watching this corrupt Tory government juggernaut barrel its way towards a hard Brexit, supported by a mixture of funding from British tax haven billionaires desperate to escape new EU tax regulations, plus dark money pumped in from countries wishing to destabilise the UK, the EU and the West in general. This money bought a referendum victory aided by proven lies from leaders of the Leave campaign and abetted by the incompetence and complacency of the Remain campaign. David Cameron's carelessness denied over 2 million the right to vote in the referendum. British emigrants who had been settled overseas for more than 5 years, and non-British EU citizens living in the UK. Those 2 million heavily Remain-leaning voters alone could have been more than enough to flip the result of the referendum, which was won with a margin of only 1.26 million. Just how arrogant and complacent was the pig-loving future Greensill lobbyist? And what was he thinking to even consider making the outcome of an advisory referendum binding? But here we are nearly 6 years later being told, "You lost, get over it," by Brexit voters in denial that we all lost, and time to move on from Brexit by people not paying attention to the fact that Brexit is still not even fully implemented at this stage. While the current hardline UKIP-style government are in power, it feels like all reasonable people can do is just wait until the next general election and kick this shambolic, partying bunch of corrupt lawbreakers out of office. But that general election may not be enough to solve the problem of Brexit. Why not? Because the leader of Her Majesty's official opposition has not stated any commitment to undo Brexit. Instead, he's running with the three-word slogan, "Make Brexit Work." I've already said in a recent video that, in defence of Keir Starmer, it's not as though we have much choice in the short term. There is no way at this point that the EU would accept us back, and as I argued in that recent video, it'll be 10 years at least until negotiations can even begin with a completely different government and completely different faces in the cabinet. It's clear that Starmer's "Make Brexit Work" slogan is aimed at the red wall Brexit-leaning voters who gave their support to the pro-Brexit Johnson party last time out. And while I can understand that, I'm not convinced it's the right strategy. The leader of the opposition should not be following the sentiments of the voters. The clue is in the word leader. He should be leading public opinion with a radical and well-argued strategy, providing a genuine alternative to an isolationist and authoritarian Tory Brexit Britain, and proposing incremental steps back towards an ever closer union with the EU, to coin a phrase. Poll after poll shows a growing majority of the public who now believe Brexit has gone badly. And although that doesn't necessarily mean they'd vote rejoin in any referendum, it does mean that radical proposals by Starmer to expand the relationship with Europe will find a receptive audience amongst the majority. My own opinion is that the Labour Party would be better off concentrating on projecting Labour as a pro-European party with pro-European policies, rather than pandering to the Leave-voting Northern Red Wall electorate, for many of whom Brexit has already lost its shine as they strain to cope with continued Tory cuts to public services, broken promises on HS2 and the Northern Powerhouse, failure to deliver any levelling up whatsoever, and the highest tax burden on earned income for decades. Labour needs to wake up to the changing reality that Brexit is no longer the defining issue in British politics, and that setting goals of rejoining the single market and the customs union are likely vote winners amongst the majority of the population and definite vote winners amongst most Labour voters, the majority of whom voted Remain in the referendum. Those trend graphs of Leave and Remain voters that put the Leave vote ahead for only a 2-week period either side of the referendum itself, after millions of pounds of money were spent on thousands of bots pushing the Leave campaign on social media, a further context for the Labour leader to make a clear statement that just because Brexit happened due to a win and an advisory referendum with no legal standing following illegal breaches of spending limits by the Leave campaign, there's no reason why Brexit should have to be accepted. Remember the bus. Brexit was delivered under false promises, with clear undertakings from the Leave campaign before the referendum that membership of the single market and the customs union were never under threat. So when Keir Starmer says make Brexit work, if we're to be kind and given the benefit of the doubt, then it could mean two things. One, the clear, non-confrontational, and I think therefore quite clever implication that Brexit isn't working. And two, with the reality that the EU will not consider any requests to rejoin as a full member for at least a decade, in the meantime we have no choice anyway but to do our best to make reality work. And there you have it. My suggestion to Keir Starmer's campaign manager, a much better phrase, make reality work. Because you and I know that Brexit itself could never work. And if I was given that impossible task, my best shot at it would be to fully focus on rejoining the single market and the customs union. And Erasmus and all the other European agencies we left in the fields of medicine, security and science. There'll be some viewers who believe that the EU would offer none of these options to any non-member country and will accuse me of British exceptionalism. But I have faith in the EU as a pragmatic organisation. And although the benefits to Britain of rejoining these agencies, as well as rejoining the single market and the customs union, they're way larger and more important for us, once we have a grown-up and pro-European British government, there would also be benefits to the EU and its member countries, sweeping away non-tariff barriers with a future Britain committed to compliance with EU standards, with 70-odd million prospective customers and expertise in many areas of benefit to the whole European community. Labour supporters don't want Tory light when it comes to Brexit or any other policy. Keir Starmer needs to project a radical new approach towards Brexit, making reality work by straining every sinew to persuade the EU to let Britain rejoin the single market and the customs union as the first stages of winning over each one of the 27 EU member states not to exercise their veto over a future application for whatever is left of the United Kingdom to rejoin the European Union in a decade or so. But what do you think? Leave a comment below.